Welcome to another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. It's been 179 days since the Kansas City Chiefs celebrated winning Super Bowl 57 back in February, and we are back. The 2023 NFL season is about to start. This goes out on Thursday morning, so it is game day, kickoff day for the 2023 season. And Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover is back doing what it does best. We're back with our picks and previews show, the weekly show that we'll have before the games start. I've got Byron and Joe with me. As always, going to be here for all 18 weeks, maybe, of the NFL season, giving us all our picks and best bets. Gentlemen, how are we doing and how excited are you for football?
Yeah, very excited, yeah. Like I said, it's only been 179 days. Feels like it's been almost double, but yeah, very excited for it to be back.
Yeah, week one, I think probably the most exciting week where, anyone can win, it feels like. And, all this summer of all our hot takes could probably go down the drain within, the first half of each game. So should be fun.
Week one, hope springs eternal for most teams. Not all, some teams that just have no hope, but hope springs eternal for most teams. And yeah, this is our first full season. We started this show back, it was the 6th of January. Bad date, really, for America, thinking about that. We started on the 6th of January. I think it was week 17. The ramblings of me talking to my mobile phone, recording an episode. Look at what we've done between the three of us over these last 8 months. And now we're ready for our first full NFL season with picks and bets aplenty, hot takes aplenty. And yeah, I'm really excited. It should be a good one. We've got, I suppose, for this episode, with it being week one, we're going to talk through 5 of what we think are the biggest games of the week. Probably some debate in that as well. Some people might get a bit upset that their teams aren't particularly focused, but it's 18 weeks. We'll talk about them at some point. We've got a little competition that we'll talk about that we're going to have over the course of the season, and we'll talk through the other games that we clearly don't agree on from a lines and betting perspective. We've also got a guest picker, so we're going to have a guest picker each and every week. This week it's Bobby G at Game Time Bobby G. Give him a follow. Go watch his show Prove Me Wrong over on YouTube. It's a great debate show. And Bobby G gives us his 4 picks, 1 over, 1 under, 1 dog, 1 favourite, which is what we'll be doing later on. So it'll be interesting to see how Bobby G stacks up against us. How do you think Bobby G is going to do, guys?
He was pretty sharp when he was on. I think he'll be good.
He was a great guest when he was on State of the AFC North, wasn't he? But yeah, we'll see. He's back. We'll see. We'll see who he picks.
I'm expecting 17 weeks of Cleveland Browns picks is what I'm expecting. But
yeah, we'll rotate it around. We'll get some other guys and gals on. I'm sure to give us their picks, and I'm pretty sure everybody will just pick their team the week that they come up. Anyway, let's get into it. So, I mean, the right place to start is, of course, with the kickoff game. The Kansas City Chiefs. Detroit Lions is our kickoff game for the 2023 season. What do we actually think of the game itself? A good choice for the kickoff game?
Yeah, I think so. I think after 179 days, like you say, you're kind of just hungry for any kind of football. Like, the Lions were really exciting at the end of the season. Chiefs are always exciting. There was probably bigger name games that would have been a better draw. But week one, I'm just happy to see football. And Lions offense is exciting. Chiefs offense is always exciting. I think it should be a good game.
Yeah, I think
well matched as well. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the excitement actually are Detroit as good as what everyone thinks they are, and it's like the big test straight away against probably like the first ranked team, even going into this season. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Lions actually live up to the hype. And I'm happy it's not just someone like Houston where you think, oh, this could be a blowout and a terrible game. But even if it is a blowout with the Lions, that's an interesting result as well. That while even the Lions are not as good as everyone think, the Chiefs are going to steamroll this year again.
Yeah, so we've got the lines for the game. So we've got it's moved, but we cut it off. So we'll cut it off obviously the day we're going to do the recording. So I think it's already moved to 4.5. But when we cut it, it was Chiefs -5, over under 53. What we expecting to see? Do we think in the game? The kickoff ones are always interesting because you've not got the teams quite at full tilt yet. So what we're expecting to see during the game?
Well, I'm guessing that's moved a bit. I wonder if it's the Kelsey injury and if he's actually going to play. Because I've seen some reports about he could also play as well. So I did like the line when he was a bit, when I think it was like 6.5 last week. And I'm still backing the lines because it feels like the Chiefs didn't really cover the spread that often last year. And I know they didn't in the kickoff game. So I'm hoping for a close game. And I think 5 is the limit. I think if you went any low, I think at 4.5, then I'll be swinging it more to the Chiefs. But play the Lions at 5.
Yeah, and I think there's that. It's a Travis Kelsey swing, but also Chris Jones, it seems like, isn't going to be playing. Pending anything getting sorted today. But I think 5 points is real tight, but I've gone the Lions on my pick on that. Are we doing picks now?
Yes, it's fine. You can reveal the ones. It's cool.
Yeah, so I think, like Joe, if it got down to 4 points, it'd be much more of a pick 'em. I'm thinking it might be a bit of an Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon game for the Chiefs. There's talk of them going to have 7 wide receivers active, which is a high number. But if Travis Kelsey doesn't play, you're going to have to spread the ball around. There isn't a proven number one elsewhere on the game. I think it might just be might not be the sexiest Patrick Mahomes game of his career, basically. The Lions were pretty poor against a run last year. They haven't really done anything to add to that. Like, they added a safety, they had the linebacker in the draft, but, maybe if they'd added like Kalijah Kancey instead of Jack Campbell, maybe you'd say, well, the line's a bit more intimidating now, but they didn't really address it. So I think I'm expecting more of a big game for Isaiah Pacheco than Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are interesting where they are. When they're faced with problems like this, they always seem to find a way to solve them, and somebody steps up. And I don't know. I think the history of Mahomes in Week 1. I don't think it's going to change. He's electric in Week 1, and I don't see it changing here. Obviously, we've got it at 5. I've not actually put my money on it yet. I will be doing, but I think that line is. I think there's a bit of Lions hype, and I think that line might end up coming a little bit closer. It might even get down to 4 or 3.5 by kickoff tomorrow night. With the amount of money and the movement that you'll have with it being the first game and it being a standalone game, which I'd love. I'd love it to be less and less. But yeah, I've taken the Chiefs -5. I think they'll cover. I think they'll cover easy. I think you might get a spirited first half from the Lions, show that they might be able to compete, and then Mahomes working it out and taking the Chiefs head down the stretch. So yeah, I think I've gone against you two, haven't I? I think I'm the Chiefs. You two have gone for the Lions. So we're going to pick every game. Won't necessarily talk through every game on the podcast because that will be a huge, long show nobody's got time for. But we will share all our predictions and picks each week on our social media. So give us a follow on X. Got it right, not Twitter. X, Instagram. We're going to try and get the Instagram going a bit. I think Byron and Joe are going to lend their expertise to that. At GTW_GTC, and you'll see all of our picks for the week. We're just going to talk through some of the big games. So anything to add, Chiefs Lions, before we move on?
So yes, just another reason why I chose the Lions is that the Chiefs defense always starts slow in the season. They always feel like they pick up. So that's why I think it might be a high scoring game. I don't know if we're doing any prop bets now, Paul, or we're going to wait till the end. Go
for it. While we're on the games, while we're on the games, go for it.
So I've got Gibbs first touchdown scorer at +1,000. I think if Detroit, it's like always one of the things, get excited, like, oh my God, the Lions could actually do something special here. And similar to Byron, I think it's going to be a Pacheco game. And anytime TD is +275. So I think that's a good shout because I think it is going to be a lot of running and a lot of throwing out to running backs this game.
That's a good bet. I like the Pacheco one.
Nice, good stuff. And the only one I've got in terms of what I'm looking to back, I'm probably going to go the under 53, I think. I'm not expecting it to be hugely high score. I don't think maybe first half, but then I think it'll be quiet and just Chiefs scoring second half. So under 53 is a lead at the minute. Not in there yet, but it will be. It will be by the time we get to tomorrow night or tonight if you listen to this because it'll be Thursday. Cool. Moving on then, let's talk AFC North. Let's talk Bengals-Browns. So it's Cincinnati Bengals going to Cleveland to face the Browns. Bengals favourites by 2.5. Over under 47.5. This is one that's going to interest our guest picker, Bobby G, of course, as a Cleveland Browns fan. Intriguing, this game, I think, with the Bengals, as good as they've been, have been slow starters. A lot of hype around Cleveland. What are we expecting to see from this one?
I think it's going to be a close game. I think the line's 2.5 points Bengals favoured.
Yeah,
I think that's probably about right. But I think it is going to be a real close game. Joe Burrow is back practicing and expected to play, which is a huge weight off anyone who was backing the Bengals to make the Super Bowl or backing Joe Burrow to get the most passing yards in the season. I think the Bengals start with the Browns and the Ravens, and they are traditional slow starters. So I think hitting the ground running is really important this year for them. Very close matchup, though.
Yeah, if they're going to go 15-2, like you think they are, they better have a quick start.
Yeah, can't go 0-2.
Which is interesting because they have gone 0-2 the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Made the Super Bowl, made the play, in the championship game. So, yeah, that's not stopped them from there. But it is one to note from a better perspective. I think it's a tough one on the road going to Cleveland. I've got them. I'll be backing out all that stuff with one of my picks for the week. I'll take the Bengals with the -2.5. Joe, what do you think? Bengals Brown AFC North to kick off the season. What do you think? What are you leaning towards?
Yes, I was actually opposite to you guys. I've got the Browns to cover, and I think the Browns are going to win as well. Just all the reasons you said. The Bengals feel like they start slow quite a lot. Burrow coming off the injury, it seems like he's fit and he's healthy, but they're not going to advertise that if he's not fully fit or if he's not fully ready to go. So yeah, and I think the Browns beat them pretty heavily in one of the games last year. So I wonder if the Browns have got something over the Bengals with this with the running game. So and he's curious to see how good the Bengals defense is because they did lose a lot of pieces. So I've got the Browns winning this game. Even though I've got the Bengals winning the division, I think the Browns will steal an early game.
Yeah. Interesting one. The Browns are 5-1 against the Bengals since Joe Burrow's rocked up.
So he's due.
So he's due. What I'm saying. Yeah, what I'm saying is he's due. And yeah, I was like with it. I think I really like the Bengals, and I've flipped around a bit on the Bengals. I thought they might have been in trouble because of the reason you said, Joe. What they lost, not just on defense, but particularly the secondary. But I just think they'll find a way to work through it. And I think what we're seeing is the development of Joe Burrow year on year, and that offense. And I think that'll be enough to carry him to a road win in the division in week 1. Yeah, I expect the Bengals to be good. Any additional bets? Have you got anyone got on the over under or any prop bets for this one, gents?
I think I might include Browns plus 2.5 in a parlay. I'm gonna jump on there. So that's probably the one. Because I don't know. I don't know why I'm confident with that one, but I just feel like there's a sound bet, and it's a good one to chuck in a parlay with some others.
Nice. And not to be boring, but and nobody wants unders, right? But again, leaning under for Bengals Browns. I think what happened last year, my 2022, was the story of hammering the over and waiting for it to come through, and it just never did. Never got my time with the over last year, so we're not making the same mistakes again. Cool. Bengals Browns. Cool. That is the second of the 5 games we are focusing on. The next one is the Miami Dolphins on the road against the Los Angeles Chargers. Dolphins +3 is the line, and over under 51. Quite high. I think that's the highest, apart from the kickoff game, that's the highest over under line of the week. No guesses, no surprises for guessing where I might be leaning. Dolphins Chargers, yeah, an interesting matchup in the AFC. One that might come back around in terms of seeding later on. Dolphins going to LA. Thoughts?
I think this is the most exciting game, especially the late slate, and it's one of the games I think I'm going to focus and watch just because it's I know it's media driven, but it's like Tua versus Herbert. There's like plenty of people that do hot takes, but even though I don't agree with everyone says, it makes it an interesting game to see where each team. And I actually think it's going to be a high scoring game. This is a game where I think it's going to be over. I just think it's going to be because usually at the start of the seasons it's like usually high offense, it's usually quite a lot of points, and then the defense comes back in. I know the last few years it hasn't carried on that trend, but I've got a feeling this game's going to be one of the most exciting. I think both teams are heavily reliant on their offense, especially with all the pieces they've added. And I think, both teams are strong. So I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think the Chargers will sneak it, mainly just because I like Herbert a bit more than Tua. I don't think other than that, I think it's going to have to be a close game as well.
Yeah. Byron, you've also gone for our picks, the Chargers -3. Why? I suppose why do the Chargers cover? Not only win, why do they cover? Yeah.
It feels a little narrative-y, truthfully, but I think Justin Herbert MVP. I think the addition of Kellen Moore is going to revitalize the Chargers rebirth it. It was a disgrace last year for what talent they have. I love the Dolphins as well, truthfully. Mike McDaniel's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. Dolphins, these are two of my ones to watch every single week, so it's a brilliant first game, I think. I agree with Joe. I think it's going to go over. I think you could see them both maybe putting up 29, 30 points in that range. I just pick the Chargers. There's a couple of slight issues with the Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey's obviously injured. Armstead at tackle is touch and go. If he's missing, I think this could be a pretty comfortable Chargers win. But ultimately, I just think the Chargers kind of have more, and I do think it's going to be, and again, a little narrative is like the start of Justin Herbert MVP season. If he's going to come out slinging, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, might even be Josh Palmer games. No Jalen Ramsey. Everybody's going to get open. Everyone's going to get deep. There's going to be no more dink and dunk down the field to Austin Eckler. Eckler might still get his workload, but I think the Chargers are going to come out firing. And I think for that reason, I think Chargers win. I think goes over the 50-51.
Interesting, cool, Gustav. So I'm opposed. I've gone with the Dolphins with the 3. Obviously it fell apart for the Dolphins, didn't it, down the stretch last year, and obviously again, Tua, all about Tua, and staying fit, staying healthy, not getting his head smashed in. So not easy to do in the NFL, but
nice way to describe it.
Yeah, well, it's what happened, isn't it? We all saw it. It's what happened to the poor guy. I think the Dolphins are going to be a real strong team this year. As much as I get the excitement for the Chargers, and particularly offensively, I don't really rate Kellen Moore. We've heard this take from me several times of having to watch fucking Kellen Moore at the Cowboys. I think he's a bit of a myth, because Kellen Moore being some sort of offensive guru. But yeah, they do have unbelievable talent, the Chargers. But yeah, I just think it's a bit messy, and I think the Dolphins can go on the road. This is timed, I think, to show, and we saw probably the Dolphins show at times last year went to win kind of games that were to kind of prove that they are the real deal. And I think this is one of them. This is one, if you are going to be serious about making a run for a championship, if you're going to be serious, which is what all the moves the Dolphins have made to do, then you've got to go beat Chargers on the road. And yeah, I'm surprised that they're 3-point underdogs, to be honest. And whether it's just the traveling in week 1 that's part of that, I don't know. But yeah, give me the Dolphins, give me the field goal. I'll take the Dolphins to win the game outright. And yeah, I'll take the 3 points as insurance.
I wonder if I wonder if it's the injuries to the Dolphins which is causing that underdog. And I'm curious because the Chargers defense, it is make or break season for them. It feels like if they have another bad season, then Kellen Moore could be the head coach. He could be that kind of head coach out, offensive coordinator in. So I'm curious, and it feels like it's the first off season where they've not had any major injuries, or there's not been a lot of curse talks about how all their star players are getting injured. So I'm curious to see how Joey Bosa's looking with a full off season, especially if Armstead's out as well. It could be like you said, knocking two around. So it should be interesting.
Yeah. Any additional bets on the side? You've got any prop bets for this one, or anything that we haven't discussed?
I did have, and I've lost it, but I did have Dolphins winning the first half, Chargers winning the game. I can't remember what that was now, just with Tua breaking down. And I wonder if over 5 times Tua doing Taekwondo or Judo is mentioned in the commentary when he gets tackled.
I just want to see him do a roll.
Yeah.
He did one in the preseason that looked pretty cool, to be fair.
Nice.
Got knocked on his back and rolled straight back up. But
maybe we can keep a ticker and a counter on the show over the course of the season, number of Tua rolls over the course of the season. Give me an over-underline on Tua rolls over the course of the season.
17 games, yeah, 2 a game, which feels right, but you probably missed 4 or 5 games, so we'll go 27.5, I think.
27.5 Tua rolls, interesting.
I think it might be under that, actually. I think that might be very generous.
Bet 365, create that market. Cool, good stuff. Let's move on. So we are on to Cowboys Giants Sunday Night Football. Interesting one. Obviously, I feel like this Cowboys Giants game is Sunday Night Football week 1 every fucking season.
Yeah, either week 1 or week 17.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
NBC do something different. And don't make me have to watch it on Monday morning, tape it and watch it on Monday morning over here before work. God damn it. It's hard to avoid the score. So Cowboys at Giants. We're pretty unanimous in our picks on this one. Cowboys are 3.5 point favourites, so Cowboys minus 3.5. Over under 46.5. Byron, we'll start with you as a fellow Cowboys fan. How are you seeing Sunday Night Football going for Dallas in New York?
I have them winning the game. I have them covering the spread. I think New York are in a bit of a weird spot going into the season. Like, they've got the playoffs last year, but I don't know if they've really got any better. And I'm not sure if they were really a playoff team last year. Like, felt like they got a little lucky to get in there because the NFC is so bad. I'm really optimistic about the Cowboys season. Obviously, I think they've got one of the best defenses in the NFL. I'm trying to think of a number, but certainly in the top half, especially if Nick Bosa's holding out and Chris Jones is holding out. You know, no such issues for Dallas right now, knock on wood. I think the offense is maybe going to be less explosive, but more managed and more sensible, perhaps, going into this year with Mike McCarthy running it himself and Schottenheimer there to assist. It's one of them where just Dallas is better basically on all aspects of the game, that I struggle to see them coming out and shit in the bed essentially on Sunday Night Football, which I think is what would have to happen. 3.5 isn't a huge spread. So yeah, I think Dallas are going to go in and upset New York. I think, like I said, I don't really see how New York hang with Dallas really.
Joe, obviously as a 49ers fan, what are your kind of views then heading into a potential challenger for the conference in Dallas? What are you expecting to see in week 1 in that NFC matchup?
For me, this was the biggest shock when looking at the spread. I think Cowboys should have been a wider spread, to be honest. I'm pretty confident that Cowboys are going to win and win comfortably. I think I'm definitely similar to like Giants are one of them teams where they're not terrible, but I don't think they're good as well. It feels like no one's really talking about them. And I think like in my head, my take is they're just not going to be good this year. But this is the kind of like week 1 where, you know, if they upset the Cowboys and it's like everything I thought out through the summer can just get thrown out. So I do see the Cowboys winning this comfortably. I was thinking 7 to 10 points. I think they're going to dominate, especially with that defense. And then still not convinced with Daniel Jones. And I know they got Waller in, but again, the wide receivers are not incredible. So yeah, I think Cowboys are going to smother them. I think it's probably going to be under as well. But I think Giants are not going to score more than 20. I can't see.
I think that Cowboys defense is going to be quite stingy again in 2023. I think they've addressed, Cowboys have addressed the potential weakness against the run that showed particularly late in the season last year with Mazzy Smith. I mean, one of the pieces they got is sadly quite had a significant injury. Overshawn, the third rounder was Overshawn, I want to say, third or fourth rounder linebacker. Sadly, got quite a significant injury, but I think they're better prepped against the run. Yeah, I agree. I thought Cowboys might have been 6.5, 7 point favourites. I think Dallas' recent history against New York, definitely had the upper hand over the last few years against the Giants. And yeah, I suppose what Coach Daboll, Coach Brian Daboll, who was Coach of the Year, right? Mm-hmm. Probably, good shout for that. The Giants went 9-7-1. What he did really well is they became quite a gritty team, if that's the right way to describe them. They just hung around in games, maybe where they kind of would have just given up in previous incarnations of the Giants. But yeah, he just got them to hang around. And then in the fourth quarter, they kind of got a bit of luck some of the time, but you can't take advantage of that if you're not in the game. I think that's what they were really, really good at. Maybe we'll see that for, maybe a couple of quarters, and then Dallas run away with it in the second half. But yeah, if the Cowboys don't kind of put a beating on the Giants. I'm going to be pretty disappointed with it. Unsurprisingly, I'm all over the Cowboys -3.5. I absolutely love that line. I just don't understand why it's not moved more yet. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'm expecting to see some bits from the pieces. Maybe we know about CD Lamb. Dalton Schultz has gone. So what we're going to see from the tight end? They had a couple of good younger tight ends in Ferguson and Hendershot, and then they've got Schoonmaker as well as the second rounder out of Michigan. I've absolutely fallen in love with 6th round pick out of Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn. Absolutely fallen in love with him, and I think just he does give you something different from Tony Pollard, and I think he's going to get a lot of touches, Deuce Vaughn, as well. So one to keep an eye on if he's not been picked up in your fantasy leagues, one to keep an eye on the waiver wire possibly after week 1, because I do think he's going to be a big contributor to the offense. And Malik Davis got released and cut, didn't he? So that only leaves Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones is suspended as well.
And he's suspended, so I think you're going to see a lot of Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, it's Rico Dowdle, who's the RB2 right now on the roster. But Rico Dowdle's been around and never contributed. I like the Deuce Vaughn shout. He's +800 anytime touchdown for a little preview. Yeah, anytime touchdown.
Yo, pull that down on my card. Deuce Vaughn anytime touchdown +800.
Yeah, I like him, and you just mentioned there, Jake Ferguson is +350. He's going to be the starting tight end. I mean, Dalton Schultz is never a special athlete or a special talent, and he gets peppered with targets because it's targeted tight end. I think Jake Ferguson +350 for anytime touchdown. I think it's another good bet. But yeah, Deuce Vaughn +800. I think it's well worth a bet. Certainly.
Yeah. Are you worried about his pass protection though? Because it's there's been a few clips where he just gets, and Dak's recent injuries on first games.
Lawman wins.
Don't ask him to do it.
Mm-hmm. Lawman wins. There's no one lower.
There is nobody lower. But don't ask him to do that. Don't ask him to do what Zeke was doing.
Playing center.
Yeah. Definitely don't ask him to do that.
No.
Don't ask him to do what Zeke did, because that's just no point, is it? So but I think just get him in space. Yeah, and he's a threat to take it to the house from anywhere on the field. I think he's just so shifty, and he's just so hard to get hold of, isn't he? Because he's so small. Cool. Any other props or anything for Cowboys Giants for Sunday Night Football?
So then -3.5. That was evens as well. It was higher than most of the other ones on Bet365. So again, I'm surprised at that. And also, as a tradition, I've got Dak throwing 2 interceptions as well at +475. I think they're still going to win by a lot, but it's going to just be the narrative Dak's here again. Start the season first or second quarter, he throws 2 picks. It's all going wrong, and then
I'll banish you from this podcast, I think.
Well, I said it last year, and I got it right. So
Yeah, was that in the playoff game
against 49ers?
Well, that's different, right? Okay. Not against the Giants in week 1. Come on. You know what? As well, I'm tempted, and I might even sell a couple of points and take the Cowboys some better odds at 5.5, 6.5. I'll see how far I can push my luck, but I'll settle on that before Sunday. Cool. That's the 4th of our 5 games we're going to focus on. And how could we not in week 1 talk about Monday Night Football? 9/11, Aaron Rodgers in New York against the Buffalo Bills. What more do you want to start for your first Monday Night Football of the season? Bills at Jets. Bills -2.5 favourites. Over under 46.5. Oh, this one's going to be good. This one's going to be really good.
Yeah, great start for Monday Night Football. Never mind the old double headers. Just give me Bills Jets. Which imagine saying that 10 years ago. Give me Bills Jets.
Give me Bills Jets. I want to watch the Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be might be the game of the week. I picked the Jets to win the division. I had the Bills losing out in the division in a tiebreaker. I think they're both double-digit win teams. And this is going to be so huge for the narrative around for the Jets. The Bills can recover from a loss. If anything bad happens to Aaron Rodgers, he throws a bad pick or something, I cannot wait to see Aaron Rodgers in the New York media market. Like I said, I picked them to win the division. I think they have a very, very, very good roster, and they just plug in a Hall of Fame quarterback. Seems pretty helpful. But yeah, I think this is a great matchup. I have the Jets winning with the 2.5 point handicap, but it's one where I don't think I'll be putting any money on the straight line there because, I mean, the Bills as an underdog appeals maybe, but I don't think I'll be placing a bet on the actual win outright market. I think it's just a very much coin toss type of game.
Yeah, for our pick every game competition, I've gone the Bills. So you two have gone the Jets. I've gone the Bills. I think it'll just be really, really close. I think I've gone the Bills to cover the 2.5. I just think it'll be a really, really close game. But just trusting Josh Allen and the Bills to go get it done. The media narrative around Aaron Rodgers is interesting. And I think so far he's kind of charmed him, hasn't he? I think he had quite a fractious, as much as it was, not necessarily, different kind of media up in Wisconsin there, Green Bay, but I think at the end it got quite a fractious relationship. Actually, I think what he's done so far is charmed the New York media so far. So I think he's got a little bit of rope. I think he's got a little bit of time for it to go wrong. I don't think if they get beat Monday night, they'll all of a sudden turn on him. No. I think he's got a bit of credit in the bank with them. I think he's charmed. I think in what we've seen in Hard Knocks, for example, maybe a bit of a different side. Maybe dispelled some myths about Aaron Rodgers and what he's like as a person. In Hard Knocks, I quite enjoyed watching him on that. So I don't think there's as much. There's a lot of pressure on them because of what they've done. They've made moves to win and win now. They've given him what he wants, right? They've got his pals around him. He's got that top-notch defense. He's got everything around him to win, but I just think he's got a bit of time. And I do think they'll be good. I just think the Bills will go in and sneak one. Joe, what's your kind of position on the Monday Night Football, Bills at Jets?
Yeah, I think this was one of the hardest ones to choose. I think I've just gone Jets with the media narrative. I've been easily led, but I could have easily flipped it. But yeah, I think what you were saying, I think it depends on if they do lose, how do they lose? Like if it's like a beat down and Bills, win by 2 touchdowns or something like that, then the media is going to be all over because it's the darling of the off season. They're supposed to be, taking Jets back, or as I said, back to the promised land. It's been a while since they've actually been anywhere close. So yes, I think it is interesting. I think especially their first 6 games of the season, I think 5 of them are really tough games. So if they lose this one, is it going to go on to the next ones? I think they've got to start well. I think they've at least got to go 3-3 within the first 6 games, and I think this is a big one if they're wanting to get to the playoffs, just because how tough the AFC is, and also how tough just within the division is. So I think I've got them winning because, similar to Byron, I think it feels like they need to win more than the Bills. I feel like the Bills could easily recover going forward, and they seem kind of team which will get better and better throughout the season. But I'm not sure about the Jets. If they start off poorly, is it going to be a car crash and it's all gone wrong in New York?
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, it's a great game. It's a great Monday night game. And I can't wait for it. It's going to be a fun one. I've no idea what's going on with the video, by the way. Joe's still talking on my video. I was going
to maybe stop the cameras and restart them because I keep stopping mine because it's playing up, to be honest. So.
Back. Yeah,
I don't know if it's working any better now. But yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers will have more rope. I think the issue is if he does something that causes a loss, and as much as he's built up the goodwill, except this is his first game, goodwill only goes so far when it's just putting on a friendly face and being a charming guy in the off season. As soon as things start to go south, and this is win now as well. They haven't built for the future of Aaron Rodgers. They win this season, they maybe win next season at a push, but it's his season really. It's the ticket thing. And what if he comes out and throws 3 interceptions? You don't think it'll happen, but strange things have. One of my bets for this one as well. I think it's a better market than just straight up. Is Latavius Murray anytime touchdown is plus 1,400. He's rotating in and out with Damien Harris as the goal line back. I think they're going to. I don't think it's going to be a defensive heavy matchup. I think both teams are pretty good defenses, but I think they're both going to score points too. So I think Damien Harris is going to get in position. I think Latavius Murray is going to get in position. I don't think James Cook's going to be the goal line back. And I think at some point the Bills kind of have to say to Josh Allen, it'd be nice if someone else could run in near the goal line so you don't keep getting smashed and maybe smash your elbow and ruin the season again. So as old and wrinkled as Latavius Murray is, I think plus 1,400 for anytime touchdown. And just on the narrative street, can't you just imagine Aaron Rodgers bootlegging one in at plus 700?
Yeah, nice. Good stuff. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Little naked bootleg. But yeah, it's going to be such a good game. I'm so intrigued with with the Jets. You know, it's been built up. I'm always intrigued with the Hard Knocks team anyway, but the fact it's just Rodgers, it's the Jets, they're going to break the playoff streak. Can they win the whole thing? It's just great. So that brings us to the end of our games of the week, or the 5 we're saying games of the week. Let's have a chat through where we've got some differences. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to pick every game. We're going to pick the line for every game, the spread, and the competition. And Joe's going to have the job of tracking it all for us. Thank you, Joe. And we'll see who comes out the winner. But we'll have our main competition alongside it as well. So I'll run through to see where we've got some differences in our picks. So we've talked about the Chiefs Lions already. Byron and Joe are on the Lions +5. I'm on the Chiefs. We've all gone for the Commanders -7 at home to the Cardinals. Panthers Falcons. This is an interesting one because I'm really high on the Panthers. So me and Joe have both gone for the Panthers +3.5. Byron, you've taken the Falcons -3.5. Floor is yours for the Falcons. Why are they going to cover?
Rookie quarterback for the Panthers. Brian Burns hasn't been practicing. He might play this week, but he might not. I'm not sure what the Panthers have really if they don't have Brian Burns truthfully on defense. I'm not expecting Bryce Young to come out all guns blazing. I think the Falcons are just really solid. Improved the defense a lot over the offseason. One of the best O-lines in the NFL. I don't think 3.5 points is asking a huge amount. I think it's one that could end up being... I think Falcons could push it to maybe 10 points, really. I think it could get away from the Panthers pretty early.
Interesting. Joe, you're with me on the other side of it. What's made you go for the Panthers +3.5?
I just think it's going to be a close game. It feels like every game these two have, it's always tight. It's first game of the season. I think the Falcons will win, but I think it'll just be like by a field goal. I think it'll be under the line. Because I think last year was the overtime incredible PJ Walker.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be like similar. Again, not quite sure how Ridder's going to be looking on the other side. So it could be a low-scoring game with 2 inexperienced quarterbacks. And I think it's going to be a lot of running as well from both teams. So I'm curious if both teams keep it like a low-scoring. So it's more likely to be, within a field goal.
Cool, good stuff. I agree with you. I think the Panthers will, but I think it'll be close. I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons won by 3 and the Panthers still covered. So that was my logic behind it. So we have differences there. We've talked Bengals-Browns already. Me and Byron are on the Bengals. Joe, you're on the Browns. Ravens-Texans. Quick one. So it's Texans +10. 43.5 over under, but Texans +10. I've gone for the Ravens to cover that. You think the Texans are going to keep it within 10? I guess you are because you've both gone for it.
Yeah, this was my underdog of the week as well. I'm not sure if it's mentioned those as we go over here, but 10 points is an awful lot. I think the Texans might have a better defense than the Ravens too. I don't think it's that obscene. I think D'Amico Ryan's is not wanting to play an air-out game. They're going to ground and pound and slow the game down. I think 10 points is an awful lot. I really like the Ravens' offense this year, but I just think the defense has some real big question marks. And I think the Texans will keep it closer than 10, certainly. I don't think they'll win the game, but within a touchdown, I would say.
Cool. Moving on, then we've all picked Jaguars -5. I flip-flopped on that, but I've gone back to Jaguars. Jaguars -5 against the Colts. Joe, want to get yours on this one? So 49ers 2.5 point favorites against the Steelers, and you've picked the Steelers +2.5. Talk to us about that.
Just because I've watched the 49ers every year at the start of the year, and they always lose the games which they shouldn't lose. And I don't even think it's a game I think it's a closer game. I'm actually pretty high on Pittsburgh this year. I think they're going to have a great year. And I think at Pittsburgh, I think it's going to be a close game anyway. And just with the 49ers record, like in the opening games, it's always a team which, again, gets better later on and win like the last 7 or 8 when, they're 3-3 at some point. So they'll lose one of these away games. So I think it'll be this one. But I have just seen that Bosa has signed a contract. So he's going to be playing.
Get the breaking news drop.
So what was it? 170 million extension, 5 years. So he's playing now. I was feeling a bit more confident when he wasn't playing, but it's just the 49ers, man. First game of the season, they always drop a clanger. So,
I was about to say, this is one that I was maybe going to flip-flop to the Steelers on, but because Kittle maybe isn't playing, and Joey Bosa certainly isn't going to be playing. Nick Bosa was certainly up in the air, and man, if he's playing, though, I'll stick with the 49ers.
I do have a move before Sunday now.
Pardon?
Do you think that line might move a little bit before Sunday now with Bosa? Obviously, he's going to play, isn't he now?
I don't think it'll move a huge amount. I think 2.5. Like, Steelers are a good team. I do have a little intrigue of Mike Tomlin's a really, really good defensive coach. They have a really good defense. Brock Purdy has film now. Very interested to see how that plays out. I'm going to stick with the Niners, but I think this is one of the... If we had a 5A, I think this would be the matchup of the week that would squeeze in at the bottom of the list there.
Yeah, I think it should be a good game. Interesting this one. So, just breaking news. So we'll pretend we're the only people in the world recording an NFL podcast right now. Nick Bosa agrees terms on 5-year, $170 million extension, as reported by Nick Shook from around the NFL. I'm sure it's reported by others, but that's where I've seen it. Bosa is now the highest paid defensive player in NFL history, with an average per year salary of $34 million, besting Aaron Donald's $31.7 million with the Rams. Worth it, Joe?
Yeah, he's one or two of the best, defender. When you get these blue chip players, you've got to pay them, don't you? You've got if you want to keep being the best team, and we're not going to get a first or second pick for a long time. So we lucked out with injuries to get Nick Bosa, so we've got to keep him in there. Because I know there was circling rumors about trading him, and I heard Dallas was involved and all this kind of thing. But I knew that they would never trade him. Why would you trade you? He's the best player. So. Yeah, it's worth it. And the money's only going to go up in a few years' time, and they'll probably spread it out and they'll renegotiate. And I think it's actually reduced the amount of cap they're paying this year so they can get more players in now they've done this. It's like all that moving money around and funny business where I never understand why teams don't pay the big players because,
It's the cost of doing business. It's the cost of having good players. You want to have to pay players. You don't want to be Jim Irsay.
I wonder if Parsons the next big one, if he's got a benchmark now.
You'd expect, wouldn't you, that Parsons' deal would if he's carrying on the trajectory that he is, that deal would end up making him the most highest paid defensive player in the NFL. But then the next one will come along. So we talked about the Niners, Vikings, Bucks. Joe, you're on your own. This is Bucks +6. Bucks going to cover.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be one of them weird week one games where there's always one team who always has a really good game because no one really knows anything about them and got no tape on them, and they always keep it close or they sneak out a win, and it's is this team actually going to be good this year? And then they lose lots and lots. So I chose the Bucks this year as being that weird team where, even though Mayfield's not great, but he's still a average quarterback, which at least is usable, and the wide receivers, and with the Vikings defense, I think it's could be a high scoring game where no one's really defending that much. So that again, that was one of them where I could have chosen even way. I wasn't confident with being in week one.
Fair enough. Byron, you're on your own with the Tennessee Titans +3 against the Saints. Me and Joe have taken the Saints -3.
Just a little doubt on the Saints. I think the Saints are going to be solid all season. Titans have got a good defense, very big issues on the offensive line, etc. But no Kamara for the Saints. It's really just going to be Jamal Williams in the backfield, maybe Taysom Hill sprinkled in, maybe Kendra Miller if he's fit. I can see this really being a bit of a coin toss game. I'll take 3 points on the home team, and I think 2 okay-ish but pretty flawed teams. So I'll just take the points really. It's not a strong take on the Titans. I'm not a big fan of them.
Fair enough. I'm on my own on the Chicago Bears, so I've got the Bears -1 against the Packers. You've both gone +1 Packers. I think this is the time for the Chicago Bears. I love what they've done in the offseason. I think they kick off the season with a statement win over the Green Bay Packers. I think it should be the start of just building some huge momentum for the Chicago Bears for the season. I'm pretty high on Chicago, but love the Bears -1. I'm on my own again. Rams Seahawks. I've taken the Rams +5 against the Seattle Seahawks.
You're going to have to repeat this, Paul, a few times on this evening games because it seems like you're against us.
Is it me? Am I on my own on all of them?
Except the Eagles one.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll try and go over what we've already talked. What we've already talked about. So I'm on the Rams +5. Joe and Byron have gone Seahawks -5. I just think they'll cover again. Another one where I think they might get beat by a field goal. I think it'll be close.
This was a big shock. You're like, I saw you like season projections as well with this anti-Seahawks. I was shocked with some of them takes. I was like, oh wow, it's not liking the Seahawks whatsoever.
So I love what they've done. But it's also dependent on Geno playing to a similar level that he did last year. And I just don't think he's got it. I think it's an anomaly. I think you are what you are, right? When you were 8 years in the NFL, especially at the quarterback position, you are what you are. And
if you are what you are, Geno is what he is.
let's not start. I think we've seen enough. And I know, and the point is, we've not seen him for that long.
Exactly. When have you seen Geno Smith play 17 games?
But why hasn't he been playing 17 games, Byron?
I mean, it could be a number of issues. Because he got cracked in the face, and then he got dragged through the rest of his career. The year before, he played better than Russell Wilson when he filled in for Russell Wilson. People forget it, but it happened.
I just think we're going to see the Geno regression back to, not necessarily all the way back, but a regression that hampers the Seahawks, is what I'm saying. Love what they've done. Love the draft they've done. Love the moves they've made. I think they're probably overall a better football team, but the drop-off in quarterback play, I believe, is going to hamper them for the season. And yeah, again, I can see the Seahawks winning this game, but the Rams covering. Broncos, I don't really particularly want to talk about them. I think Broncos Raiders is just a rancid game. We've already talked about Dolphins Chargers. Unanimous on the Eagles, aren't we? Eagles covering -4. Unanimous on the Cowboys, and we've already talked about Bills Jets. So let's move on to our last segment. Probably need a bit of a divider for this, but our last segment. So our competition, this is going to be our main competition, I think, for the year, right? A little bit easier to follow because it's not so many games. So this has definitely not been stolen from the #1 sports podcast in the world. It might sound slightly familiar. We don't have a name for it anyway. But each week we're going to pick our favourite under, our favourite over, our favourite, and our favourite underdog. And yeah, we're going to pick just those four picks. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be 4 different games. You can have 2 picks in the same game, of course. And we're going to track that. And then we'll probably make the person who finishes last do a forfeit. If that's all right, lads.
Sounds good to me.
News to Byron.
Yeah. Confidence there.
I think we should agree what the forfeit is before we get rolling is kind of my point, because I don't want it to be decided after we just see who loses.
Yeah. Well, let's maybe make that a week 2 discussion.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. Forfeit. So we'll kick off then and finish off our portion of the show this week with that. We need a name for it. So if you've got any suggestions for the name of the competition, the over-under favourite underdog competition. I can't come up with a good name. Somebody come up with a good name for it, please. And we'll use it moving forward. Favourite then. I'll start. I've got the Eagles -4. I think the Eagles will just dog walk the Patriots, ruin Tom Brady's night, all that stuff.
Is his Roll of Honor thing? Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Eagles will just beat the hell out of them.
The one time I'll cheer an Eagles victory this season.
Yeah. Eagles -4. Again, one surprised it's the line so low. The spread so low. Yes, Joe, I'll put the slide up. Thanks. So I've got the Eagles. Byron, you're on the Seahawks. We've just talked a little bit about Seahawks -5. Pretty comfortable with that one, yeah?
Yeah. Cooper Kupp's ruled out for week 1. The Rams are a bit of an expansion franchise outside of Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald. And the Seahawks are really good. One of them I'd take a few more points on, truthfully. Might want to look at the alternative handicaps on as a bet for the week, because I don't know how that stays anywhere near close.
Yeah. Joe, you're on the Cowboys. We talked to Cowboys, Giants. Mm-hmm. We're all very obviously heavy on Cowboys. Giants, you're on the underdog Green Bay Packers. Packers plus barely an underdog. Game
dog.
Yeah, well, this was 2 point. I think it was 2.53 about last week when I was looking at it, and it's obviously a lot of people are going Green Bay. I just think the hype over Chicago. I don't think they're going to be better, but actually, how people are projecting them to be. You know, how many did they win? 3 or 4 games last year to go from that to then be a NFC playoff contender. I think I've got a sneak suspicion John Love's actually going to have a good year this year. So I think it starts with them at the Bears. And I think, again, it's going to be a low-scoring, a lot of running kind of game. And with 1 point, I expect Green Bay to come out on top.
Yeah, pretty attritional, I'm expecting. Expect to be close, but yeah, you've got Grand Packers. Byron, you already touched on this before. Texans plus 10 at the Ravens.
I just think it's a lot. I think it's going to be Texans are going to try and quicken the game up, ground and pound, keep it tight. I like the Texans defense too. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I prefer them probably to the Ravens defense. Ravens got a better offense, but I think Texans just going to come out. They ain't slinging that ball. CJ Stroud is not starting fantasy this week, but Damian Pierce might get 30 carries. Or between him and Singletary, they might get 35, 40 carries. Like, I think it's going to be a heavy run game from the Texans.
Nice. So, time of possession, keep it close, interesting. Yeah, it is a lot of points. Plus 10 in week one is a lot of points, I guess. I love the Carolina Panthers. I think Carolina Panthers will have a good season. And I'm just not. The Falcons just have a lot of close games, a lot of one-score games, as they did last year. So I like the 3.5. I like. So I'll take the Carolina Panthers as my underdog. I'm also going to go the over in that game. I don't think it'll get much over I don't think it'll get much over the 40, 39.5 to the 40 that we need. I don't think it'll get much over. I think that's a very, very low line, especially with the potential offensive output there in terms of you've got some home run hitters. So I think we'll see that hit the 40. Byron, you've gone Jags Colts, so one we've not talked about too much over 45.
I think just two. Colts have got a very bad defense. Jags have got a flawed defense, and I think Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to pick the Colts apart here. This is one that could have been a favourite bet. I mean, what was that line there? -5. I think that's another one that could be double digits pretty easily. I think the Colts are in contention for the worst record in the NFL. But I think Anthony Richardson breakout game. I don't think they've really unleashed him in the preseason, a bit like Washington did with RG3 way back when. You don't want to show what you've got in the preseason. Yeah. You want to show what you've got week one. So I think that's one where I can see the Jags getting 30 points fairly comfortably plus. So I think if you only need 15 points from the Colts, I think that's very doable.
Cool. Joe, we touched on this earlier, but you took the over 51 Dolphins Chargers. It's the second highest points line of the week. It's points down in LA.
Yeah, I think both teams could easily get 30 points. I think it could be that kind of exciting week one, just hoping, It's a great game because, I think I think both offenses are going to sling it and try and show that what kind of offense they are. I think, both of them are probably, especially with Dolphins with the two speedsters, they can get points so quickly. It's and same with the Charger with Herbert arm and with the big receivers. I think it's one of them where it might be not looking good early on, and suddenly 20 odd points a quarter could easily just bump that up. So
I think with the Chargers, I'm absolutely trying not to label. I think that the receivers are very samey. I don't know. Keenan Allen, Quinton Johnson. I don't know. I think they're very samey.
I think they're very different. Mike Williams as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice mixture.
I just fucking hate Kellen Moore.
We've gathered, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I chose this so I can prove you wrong.
Well, if they get beat 52-0, I don't think you're proving me wrong there.
Well, yeah, good point. But
anyway,
if it's 2-0, I don't think Kellen Moore is getting the most blame.
Yeah.
Joel, stick with you. You've got the under Bengals Browns.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a rugged game. Kind of teams where they're just going to feel like they're going to beat each other up. It's going to be. I think both teams, especially the Browns, have actually got a better defense. What people think they have, and I think they're going to keep it tight, where they're not going to allow Burrows to throw that down the field. I think it's going to be a lot of short stuff. Especially, I think last year, even like Chase, he wasn't hitting them big home runs. There was a lot of shorter passes he was catching, and I'm still not convinced with Deshaun Watson. So I think it's going to be a tight game with not a lot of points and defense on top.
Cool. Byron, you've gone Joe's 49ers against the Steelers.
Two very, very good defenses, two slightly questionable quarterbacks. I think both Kenny Pickett's shown really good signs in the preseason, but preseason, and the 49ers defense is not preseason vanilla defenses. I think it's going to be a real tight game. I think that could be a 2017 win, thereabouts. I'd be surprised if both teams get over 25, which obviously is a long way from 41, but I think it's more likely to lean under than over, certainly.
Fair enough. And I'll finish this off. I've gone for the dumpster fire Buccaneers at Minnesota. I know. So Buccaneers, I know in players in like Godwin and Evans, you've got. I hope for Baker's sake he manages to revive his career, but I just can't see it. And I think the Bucs are in trouble. We have a really, really bad season. I think Minnesota will be good. Will be okay to good, and I think they'll probably win that game comfortably.
The biggest issue there is, do the Vikings put up 45?
I don't know. And that's the thing. That's the risk with this. But I don't know. I see maybe something like 28-3 or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. The Vikings not having to show out to kind of go win the game, and I think the Bucs will really, really struggle to score, and that'll be a theme all throughout the year. So that's our main competition. So we've got a favorite underdog, over, under. We'll revisit this in our review, see how we've done. We'll track it all across the season. That's it from Byron and Joe for this episode. Chat, see you later. We're going to move on to our guest picker of the week, so we're going to have the guests partake in our favourite underdog, over, under, and we've got a very special guest joining us in week one. It is Bobby G. He's a big Cleveland Browns fan. He joined us for the State of the AFC North episode a couple of months ago. Great to sit down and chat to. Great guy, great guest. So we'll throw it over to me with Bobby G, and we'll see you soon. Welcome to our first guest picker segment of the season here at Good Teams and Great Teams Cover. You've just heard the picks that me, Byron and Joe have made for week one, and we thought we'd best get somebody who could shoulder the responsibility for the guest picker slot. And I could think of nobody better to take on that daunting task than bringing on Bobby G. Bobby G, welcome to Good Teams and Great Teams Cover again. It's a pleasure to have you back.
That's right. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun. Now let's see if you can prove me wrong on these picks.
Good stuff. I've just sat down and had a great chat with Bobby G over on Let's Talk Sports Network, the Paul Redmond Show. Go check it out. Bobby's got a great new show, Prove Me Wrong. It's 3 episodes in. It's a great debate show where Bobby challenges people to prove him wrong on a great subject. So, Bobby, again, I know we've talked about on the Paul Redmond Show, but heck, promote it here as well. Where can people find Prove Me Wrong?
You can find Prove Me Wrong every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, on the Let's Talk Sports YouTube channel. And, just different guests every week, trying to prove some crazy statement that I made wrong.
Good stuff. I love it. The 3 episodes have been brilliant so far. Go and check them out. It's a great watch. So, Bobby, how are you feeling? Are you feeling up to the task then, first of all, of being the first guest picker on Good Teams and Great Teams Cover?
I am. Yeah, I feel real strong. I'm going to go 4-0 and put the pressure on these guys.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, that would be quite the statement to make as well. Yeah, high bar.
Yeah,
we only pick winners here. We only pick winners. So,
when Coach Thomas said, the standard is the standard.
Standard is the standard. Yeah, great point. And look, week one, early weeks are tough as well, right? And in the NFL, picking the lines are tough early on because you know what, you don't know what some of these teams are going to be quite yet, and we'll inevitably have some surprises. So just to follow up, we're going to have a guest picker each and every week. So we'll have 18 guest pickers over the course of the NFL regular season, and we'll have some playoff ones as well. The challenge is for the guests to combine record to try and beat mine, Joe's, and Byron's. And we're only going to stick to 4 games, as Bobby mentioned there. He's looking to go 4-0. So we're going to do 1 over, 1 under, 1 favourite, 1 underdog. Bobby, start us off. Who have you picked as your... Let's start with the dogs. Which dog have you got back in this week? Who's your underdog that you've gone for?
My underdog, I stayed at home. The Cleveland Browns have won 1 opening game over the last 2 decades. That was, of course, last season, when we went on the road to beat Carolina on a last-second field goal. This year, we opened at home against the Cincinnati Bengals division game. And in that game, we are actually 2.5-point underdogs. I'm rocking with the Browns to win. More than covered, they will win outright.
So you've got the 2.5 if you need it. But yes, the Cleveland Browns to win. We talked a little bit just before, didn't we, about potentially what's going on with Joe Burrow. And the Bengals have been, even though they've been really, really good, right, the last few years.
Yeah, they've been slow starting.
Slow
the last 2 years, they've gone 5-4 first 9 weeks, both seasons. And of those 4 losses each season, they've lost to the Browns. So they always lose that first game to the Browns. Matter of fact, they're 5-1 since against the Bengals since Joe Burrow's been drafted. So yeah, definitely, I love our chances in week 1. So I'm gonna take that underdog.
Love it. Good stuff. Sticking with your team as well. I like the confidence in your team as well, Bobby. Good stuff. Whenever we do these things, obviously, obviously everyone knows I'm a big Cowboys fan. Whenever we do these things, I never want to jinx the Cowboys by betting. It's very rare I have any Cowboys bets. It's just a superstition thing, right? It means nothing.
Yeah.
But it just makes me feel a little bit better about it. But cool. Cleveland Browns to beat the Bengals. Browns plus 2.5 as your underdog. Love it. Strong start, Bobby. Hit us with your favorite.
My favorite this is pretty easy. I'm gonna go with first game of the season, ring night or banner night. NFL, they just hang the banner. I got Kansas City at -5. I think I think they could blow out Detroit. Since Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback, they are undefeated in week 1. Average margin of victory, 17.5 points. Patrick Mahomes himself, 18 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in week 1. With or without Travis Kelce, those numbers are just too hard to go against. So I'm taking Kansas City to cover.
Nice, yes, it's a nice fight. I think it's going to be. It feels like it's going to move. I think we cut the lines this morning. I think it's already down to 4.5. It might move closer, so it might be some more favourable towards the Chiefs. And I think that's just on the basis of Travis Kelce. And we've got Chris Jones is still holding out as well. So do you think them two missing potentially have an impact on the game, or do you think the Chiefs will have enough to sort it out?
They're not the champs because they're not deep. They no Tyreek Hill, no problem. Like they're the defending champs for a reason. They got the best quarterback in the league. They got the best coach in the league, and again, it's just the numbers. And don't forget that Thursday night game is always set up for the champion really to win. They never give the team. I mean, they give someone that they think may make it a game, but the NFL wants Kansas City to win this game.
On the flip side, then. I mean, do you think the Lions are playing close? I mean, they could still, even if the line when we've cut it off is 5. Do you think the Lions could play them close?
Yeah, first half could be close, but then that championship pedigree in the second half of taping. Arrowhead is a tough place to play, and especially like week 1, that stadium is going to be rocking. Like say that people are going to be liquored up. That banner is going to get raised. It'll get real ugly in the second half.
Yeah, it's a great one. I think it's a really, really good game. And when the NFL scheduled it, I thought, because you had some really, really good choices from the Chiefs schedule. You could have just gone straight Eagles Chiefs and had the Super Bowl rematch.
You could have, but again, that's what I say. Look at the schedule every year. They want the champ to have a comfortable game, but they want people to have a good experience on banner night. They're not going to give you a game that they want like the smallest hint of you to lose that game, and so Detroit was the safest game.
Cool, good stuff. Right, so we've done our underdog. We've got the Browns plus 2.5. We've got our favorite Super Bowl champion Chiefs at home to Detroit -5. Hit us with your under. Nobody likes unders, right? But hit us with your under.
The under. I'm going to one of the oldest rivalries in the game. Got Green Bay at Chicago. I think their line is 43. So I'm going to take the under on that. We got a new quarterback, Jordan Love in Green Bay. Chicago doesn't have the most, their offense hasn't been the most productive over the last few years. Justin Fields has struggled to throw the ball in the NFL. I like this game to be one of those kind of slug it out. We're feeling, week 1, we're getting our stuff together games. I could see it being somewhere like 17-13, 17-10, so, 20-17, somewhere in that range.
Something a bit more attritional, I guess, for those guys in the NFC North. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think that was real close. That's the closest line. It's almost a pick 'em. I think it's at 1. Bears favourites by 1. What does a point get you in the NFL? Nothing these days. So yeah, it's a real tight game. I think it's a big test as well for Chicago. So interesting about that game because there's so much optimism, and I think Chicago have had, again, one of the teams that have had a really, really good off season. With what they've managed to do. So yeah, and there's, I think it's real key for them to build that momentum in week one, beating the Packers, get that thing rolling. Whereas kind of the air could come out the building a little bit if they end up falling to Jordan Love and the Packers.
I think they will. I think they actually lose the game though. I think Green Bay win. I got Green Bay winning the North.
Ooh, nice. Okay, you're one of the believers. Yeah, I think we'll struggle. But yeah, again, it's such a tight division, the NFC North, where I don't think there's too much between the four teams at the minute. But yeah, interesting one. And Bears Packers again, one of the greatest rivalries. Great to have that game in week one. Bobby finishes off then. So the over. Where are points going to be in week one? Who's your over?
I think those points are going to be in Minnesota this weekend. Tampa at Minnesota. I got 45.5. I think that gets taken over. I mean, you got Baker making his debut for Tampa. They're playing indoors. Of course, Baker Mayfield doesn't have his arm is good. This is not amazing, but honestly, he's played well in that building. Last time he was there was with the Browns, and we had a great game. We won that game. The weapons he's got down there, I think it's just going to be an aired out game. Minnesota lost too much on defense in the offseason. So I look for them to Baker Mayfield to be able to pick his way. And of course, you got Jay Jetter on the other side. He shreds in every defense he faces. So I look for Kirk Cousins to go. I think both quarterbacks can hit 300 yards. I think it'd be a big air game.
Bit of a shootout up there in the north, in Minnesota. Cool, good stuff. Baker's another interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've talked last chance saloon for Baker. Obviously, he was your quarterback with the Cleveland Browns for those years.
Yeah,
the highs of kind of winning that playoff game against Pittsburgh, lows along the way as well. I mean, how do you feel Baker's going to get on down in Florida with Tampa?
I think he'll start 10. I think week 10 is his like out.
Yeah.
He's an average NFL quarterback, but I mean, that's just what it is. Like he can be good, which obviously he displayed with the Browns, took us to the playoffs, but he needs certain pieces around him. He needs a certain setup, and I don't think they have that in Tampa. I guess this is not meant for him. So this will be up, but I think this is his last opportunity to starter. Give him 10 weeks, and they'll try out. I forget who's the backup. Is it Trask?
Kyle
Trask. Yeah, I think they have to see what they have in him. So week 10, they'll probably go with that, and then I see Baker getting those career backup checks.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we've said that loads about Baker. Last chance, and I really thought it was in Carolina last year, and that didn't go very well, did it? So maybe
he's great early in the season, and that's why I think this game's gonna go. He's early or his first game with a new team. Look at what he did with the Rams. Just got off the plane and threw for almost 300 yards. So I look for that. Early season Baker is good, but as you go on and teams get that film, he just gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it comes to a predictable. Cool. So we've got your underdog is the Cleveland Browns plus 2.5 against the Bengals.
Yep.
Favorite, the Super Bowl champion Chiefs -5. We've got it against the Detroit Lions. The under Packers Bears in a bit of an attritional battle, and that's under 43. And then you're over. Baker and the Buccaneers going to Minnesota to play the Vikings over 45.5. Bobby, we'll see how you hold up. Best of luck. We'll see if you can go 4-0. 4-0, yeah. We'll see if you can go 4-0. I mean, this is competition, so I kind of hope you don't, but I'm joking. We only pick winners here. We only want winners here at Good Teams and Great Teams Cover. It's our reputation on the line. So, and we trust you, Bobby. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come to you. Everybody, go and give Bobby G a follow. Go and watch Prove Me Wrong at Game Time Bobby G. He's a great follow on X. Great content produced on YouTube, and a huge part of the Let's Talk Sports community. So, Bobby, thank you ever so much for being the first guest picker on Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. That will be a quiz question in history at some time once it explodes. And, Bobby, hopefully we'll catch you at some point during the season as well.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you need me, I'm there.
Cool. Appreciate you, Bobby. Thanks. See you soon.